Hello, and welcome to Anime Audio Commentary. Today I'll be commenting over episode 19 of Neon Genesis Evangelion. If you'd like to watch along, then start watching now. So last we left off, things were pretty tenuous. Shinji had essentially been forced to mangle, if not kill, his friend Toji in Unit 3, I believe it was. So now he's coming into conflict with the staff at Nerve. Shinji's even going so far as to threaten to start wrecking Nerve. This is pretty significant for Shinji because he's finally standing up for himself in a meaningful way. So Gendo, of course, doesn't really seem to care, and he's initiating action to incapacitate Shinji so they can get him out. So meanwhile, back at the wreckage site, it is truly a horrific scene. Not only is everything just wrecked, it's covered in copious amounts of blood and gore and viscera. So now at the hospital, I guess we get some confirmation that Toji is alive. Granted, after all he's been through, life is probably a small comfort. So notably, it looks like Toji is having one of those hallucinatory dreams in the train like Shinji had. So I'm not sure if this is some sort of shared hallucination or what's going on here, but Shinji and Rei are in a different train car, and they're sort of talking about Shinji's issues with his father. So the class rep, it sounds like by means of special permission, was able to go visit Toji. And it's also unclear how much time has passed since Shinji was there one day, gone now. So the mood between the class rep and Toji is somewhat tense. And worse yet, we get this shot here of Toji lying in the bed, and it's very clear that he only has one leg. And we don't see his other arm either. Could just be that it's on the far side of the shot, and so we don't see it, but for better or for worse, the incident in the Evangelion has crippled him. So Shinji, I guess, is getting a sort of court-martial. He's been brought before Gendo to sort of explain himself. And the two sort of spar verbally. But they're both resolute in that neither of them really want anything to do with each other. And Shinji once again vows never to pilot an Evangelion. So without Shinji, Rei's going to be piloting Unit 1 now, and they're going to keep the dummy plug installed in it just in case. Of course, we know that in Evangelion, no matter how many contingencies you set up, things always absolutely go wrong entirely. So Shinji gets a quick phone call, and it becomes clear that his friends don't really understand the gravity of the situation. So Shinji's preparing to leave, and he's having, I guess, one last conversation with Misato before leaving for good. So notably, Shinji asks about why Toji became a pilot. And Misato lets slip that she only recently found out that all of his classmates are pilot candidates. So I guess even Misato's becoming increasingly loose-lipped about all the weird stuff that's going on at NERV that she hasn't been privy to, if she's, I guess, telling Shinji about it. So Misato even remarks that Shinji sounds far more certain about this than he ever has about anything else. And that's true, he's definitely not acting like he usually does. So no sooner does Shinji resolve to never pilot the EVA again, does something immediately start going wrong. Most likely another angel. So just like many of the angels before it, it's rather powerful and completely unaffected by conventional weaponry. Unfortunately, it seems like the Angel is on a pretty good path to getting to the Geofront, so Misato is dispatching Unit 2 there to intercept it. So because Unit 0 is not prepared, they're going to dispatch Rei and Unit 1. But for whatever reason, coincidentally enough, things aren't going very well. It's almost as if Unit 1 is rejecting and denying Rei. So despite Unit 0 still not having an arm, Rei's going to be deployed at it anyways, and she's sort of resigned herself to the possibility of death. So as things stand at this moment, Asuka's really the only line of defense they have against an angel. Asuka, of course, relishes the chance to prove herself without Shinji there to steal all the glory, at least in her mind. So far, all the weaponry she's using appears to be, at best, minimally effective. Even Asuka is starting to become distressed. She exclaims that, she's neutralizing its AT field, right? So why isn't this working? I don't really have the answers for that. Maybe she's not as effective as she thinks she is. So unfortunately for her, the Angel is far more effective, and it manages to slice off both of Unit 2's arms. In very short order, it also decapitates Unit 2. Whether or not that'll prove fatal to Asuka remains to be seen. Misato was very insistent about cutting the connection. Now, notably here, Shinji was chilling in a shelter, and Unit 2's severed head crashed in the room. So the plot thickens a bit further. Even with the dummy plug, Unit 1 will not activate. It refuses to do so. So Shinji's in the Geofront just sort of watching the carnage unfold. And notably, he happens to run into Kaji, who's tending to his watermelon patch. So the two of them get into a sort of philosophical debate. Kaji's sort of resigned himself to whatever happens. Kaji's also sort of, reminding Shinji of the stakes here. If an angel ends up touching Adam, it will initiate the third impact, which is very bad. Meanwhile, Rei is making a heroic sacrifice. With her one-armed Unit 0, she takes an N2 mine, shoves it right into the Angel, and detonates it. She managed to penetrate the AT field, but it seems like the Angel protected its core at the last moment. Indeed, it appears to have been a futile gesture. So Kaji's giving Shinji a bit of a pep talk. He is the only person who can do something, but he shouldn't be forced into it. He should come to the decision on his own. And it seems like Shinji is coming to the decision to stand and fight. So things are getting very, very bad. The Angel's melting through all sorts of armor plating. Eva Unit 1 is not cooperating at all. So at the last minute here, Shinji has arrived, begging to pilot Eva Unit 1. And he sort of has to confront his father here for the permission. So while Shinji and Gendo are having that little chat, the Angel is descending into Central Dogma en route to, first the command center, and then presumably down to where they keep Adam. But in the nick of time, Unit 1 bursts in through the wall, piloted by Shinji, and it starts pushing the Angel back out into the geofront. Unfortunately, Shinji doesn't seem to be doing much better than Asuka or Rei. He's already lost his left arm from the elbow down. Now, this Angel really doesn't mess around. You know, this is probably one of the most bloodthirsty episodes Shinji's had, at least while conscious. 'Cause he's really going ham on this Angel. Unfortunately for Shinji, that classic bugbear of Unit 1's reserve power kicks in and it has deactivated itself. Shinji's not giving up despite that. So he's urging Unit 1 to just get up and move. You know, it's done it before, it can do it again. Meanwhile, the Angel's not messing around. It's blasting through Eva Unit 1's armor plating, exposing its core, now it's just wailing on that. I guess this Angel's intelligent enough to know that Unit 1 is a serious threat here. So Shinji continues to beg, and the structural integrity of the Evangelion starts to falter. Unit 1 finally wakes up. And it wakes up in a rather horrifying way. It tears off a piece of the Angel, and it sort of like grafts it onto its stump of an arm. And it immediately grows back into a flesh and bone human arm. So we're treated to two things here. One, Ritsuko says it's finally happened, as if she expected this. And two, she says the Evangelion is finally aware, indicating that for whatever else is going on, Unit 1 is a lot more monstrous than, I guess, the people in the know had let on. So Unit 1 at this point is totally berserk. It's crawling on all fours towards the angel. And now it's just tearing off chunks of it with its teeth and devouring it. To my mind, this is probably one of the most unsettling sequences. So much to Ritsuko's horror, Unit 1 is ingesting the S2 organ from the angel. And I believe this was something addressed earlier, that by design, they really didn't want to have an Evangelion have something like that. So now that Unit 1's ingested the S2 engine, it's bursting these armor plates off. Ritsuko also lets slip that the armor plating is not merely armor, it's also their mechanism for controlling Unit 1. And without that, the monster that is Unit 1 is now free to do whatever it wants. So lastly, Gendo and Fuyutsuki seem to be looking upon this with a certain sense of satisfaction, as this is what they want. Alright, well that's it for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, then by all means, tune in for the next one.